So, tell me something terrible. I'm hitting the microphone with my date plate. It sounds a lot like date rape. My plate of dates.
Starting out heavy.
Medjool dates. All right. We are recording if you'd like to start now.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tiffany.
Hi, I'm Scott.
And you're listening to Tell Me Something Terrible.
Yeah, you are. Good for you.
Yep. Where he interrupts me rudely.
I do. And now I can harass you because you procrastinated horribly on this episode.
I did. I literally just finished a couple of hours ago.
It's Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
This comes out Friday morning.
It does. 6 a.m., bright and early.
The same time I get to work. All right, let's edit this thing. Let's end this thing.
Right.
And this is a deep dive.
It is.
Great. We're going to be here till midnight, guys.
Every 10 episodes, guys.
Yeah, this is episode 20.
Yep.
That's like, next episode, we're drinking age. 21.
Yeah, we are. Celebrate with shots.
We already did for this episode, so that seems redundant.
And last episode.
The Patreon one? Yeah.
I mean, like, I know you're diabetic, and I know there's a lot of sugar in those, but I just want you to take one shot so you know.
Of the Yukon Jack?
Yeah.
Maybe.
It was bad.
Someday.
When you're ready to die. It's the last thing you do.
Yes.
Go out strong.
Yep.
So anyway, this is our second sort of deep dive.
The episodes have gotten longer. I've noticed too, don't worry.
I'm going to reel it back next week. We need some lighthearted episodes.
Yeah, she's gotten very...
true crimey and heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, apart from the Muffin Man.
I would sing She's So Heavy, but I would do the Beatles a great injustice, so I'll just...
You very much
Wow,
would.
Thank you for discrediting any shred of vocal ability I thought I had.
We already discussed my tone deafness. I thought we would discuss yours,
but I wasn't in
too.
band, so...
Okay, I was in band for a reason. It's because I can't sing or match pitch. Difference.
Okay.
Anyway.
I was the lead for a church musical when I was 6, so how about you back off?
Long before you hit puberty?
Maybe I was 10. I don't remember. I got to wear socks.
Either way, it was
excited.
before puberty.
I didn't have to wear shoes, and that was a big deal. I grew up under a rock. It was great, guys.
And then he met me, and his whole world got destroyed.
Yeah. Well, not destroyed. Just...
rocked a little.
She picked up the rock and threw it 1,000 feet.
Pretty much.
My rock! No! Anyway.
Do you know what this topic's going to be?
I've heard you say Alcatraz like 100 times, so I assume it's about the rock.
Just making sure.
So it's funny that we've talked about a rock.
Yeah. Do you need me to pause for some Sean Connery impersonations for you?
No.
Are you sure?
Backstory. The Rock, featuring Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage, Ed Harris, is my favorite movie of all time.
I like how you remembered Ed Harris, who's a great underrated actor.
I did remember him, A, because it's my favorite movie, and B, the movie poster is 20 feet from us, hanging on the wall. It's the one on the far left there.
Oh, would you looky there? It does say Ed Harris, doesn't it?
Oh, you looky there. But it is about where Nicolas Cage is a biochemist, which is my major, and he saves all of San Francisco, which is a town I've never been to, but I want to go to.
Oh, it's on the bucket list for sure.
Yes. Full House, Rice-A-Roni. Come on now. The 49ers.
You and I are very different people.
Those.
I'm like, oh, architecture, Boys Town, yes.
Those were all jokes. I don't care about the 49ers. But no, it is The Rock, not The Wrestler. The movie is great. If you haven't seen it, and he loves the Beatles, I mean, come on now.
And he fucks the prom queen.
Carla was the prom queen. Yeah, Carla, yeah.
Oh, no, that was... You're giving a Nick Cage.
Yeah.
The Nick Cage quote of Sean Connery.
Losers always talk about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen. Yeah, that's my Sean Connery. I'll stop there. That's all I got.
Just one.
Yep.
There might be another one, let's be honest. He's been drinking. It's going to get bad.
Yeah.
All right, so today I'm going to tell you about the battle. Today.
You guys can't see her hand gestures there. She just acted like, yeah.
Very emphatic.
Very emphatic.
So today I'm going to tell you about the Battle of Alcatraz.
Okay.
So apart from me complaining about how last podcast on the left already did episodes about this, and I'm mad about it because it was on my list of things to do.
Dang you, last podcast on the left.
Dang you.
I will send them a very angry tweet when this episode comes out. Don't you worry.
Anyway, apart from me complaining about that,
that has worked. We have gotten likes and not retweets, likes from bigger podcasts when I angry tweet them when they cover our topics. Not really, but
look at us in the Midwest. Like, oh, sorry guys, but So how much do you know about the Battle of Alcatraz?
0.
Perfect.
It wasn't covered in the movie The Rock, so
No, it was not.
Unless that's what you're talking about, if that was based on a true story.
Very much.
Is this before
not.
It was a prison?
This is while it was a prison.
Okay.
Yep, a federal prison.
It still is a federal prison. Or it was only a federal prison, wasn't it?
No, it was not. It was a military prison first.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to do a little backstory and some background history on the island, history on the people that were involved with it.
Is this how much I talk with my hands constantly?
I don't know how strong my last drink was.
Every time we record video-wise for like more than a second, I'm like, I talk with my hands constantly.
Yes.
And I don't realize I do that because
No.
it's just obviously me. Mm-hmm. And then I get really self-conscious about it. And I'm like, I'm going to hold my own hands so they don't move.
Then you're also trying not to hit the mic.
Oh, no,
which
I know
is
where
like the worst.
You're the clumsy one, not me.
Me?
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to do this little backstory first before we get into the actual battle.
I love history.
Yes. So
did you see I started my crap I should know by now on Wednesdays?
You
Twitter
mentioned
thing?
you
Yeah.
mentioned the what president?
10th president.
Good.
Don't ask me his name. John Tyler?
Sure, why not?
Sure, maybe.
Here's another president for you that nobody knows the name of.
Follow us on Twitter at TMSTpod.
Shamelessly plugging.
Yep, plug it hard. I want to get to 100 followers, and we're sneaking up on it.
Yeah. Share, guys, share. We'd
No,
really appreciate
follow.
it. Follow, guys. Follow.
She doesn't tweet.
I don't. I use the tweeter like once every 2 weeks.
She's too busy on the TikTok.
Watching people on TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't have a TikTok. So Alcatraz Island was first discovered in 1775 when a Spanish explorer mapped and named the island La Isla de los...
Your Spanish is spot on.
I took one Spanish class. Alcatrazes?
Perfect.
Yep. Or the Island of Pelicans.
The island of anthrax.
No, it was the Island of Pelicans.
Hold on, just a quick side. Was it the dollop that covered the island with the birds on it?
Yes, and then Behind the Bastards also covered it,
Wasn't
and then
that
at
in
the end of
California?
it, yes,
That wasn't Alcatraz.
same area with the birds with the eggs.
Yes.
It's a great
Anyway.
episode. It was the egg war.
Yeah. It's like one of the first $20.
It's early, yeah. And then Behind the Bastards covered it. I just literally, speaking of serendipity, listened to it today, and I was like, the egg war, click, and then I started listening to it, and I was like, I know this story, and then at the end of it, he was like, so this motherfucker Dave Anthony, he's like, but I already researched it, so fuck you guys, which is how I feel about this podcast, where I've already researched it, so fuck last pod, I'm doing it too.
Okay.
Anyway,
Ain't got time for this. Go.
75 years later, President Fillmore,
Later from what?
from the discovery in
Okay,
1775.
sorry. I was like, I know you paused mid-sentence. I don't remember what it's from.
Great, this is going to go swell.
Yes.
So in 1775, it's discovered,
Yep.
and then 75 years later, President Fillmore...
In 1850.
Yep.
Yep.
Sorry, math confuses me a lot, and so when you can just pull numbers out, I'm like, oh my god, how does he know?
I can
Math.
I can add 75 plus 75. It's crazy.
Oh my god. So President Fillmore signed an order
Who the
for...
fuck is President Fillmore?
Fuck if I know. He was a president who was around in the 1850s.
Tune in next Wednesday on Twitter. Hashtag
For
shit I
things
should
I
know
should
by
know.
now.
So he signed an order for the island to become commissioned into the military, where it was to guard against any attacks from the Confederates, because California was part of the Union. So a fortress
Where
was
were the Confederates going to come from?
the Bay. I don't know, Texas. I don't know who was
Okay.
Confederate and who wasn't. I know the Mason-Dixon line and half of the states out west, We're Confederate.
I'm just saying,
we
if
were in the
California
Union, and that's all that matters.
If California's in the Union, they're going to travel a long way to come all the way up to San Francisco.
They really were, because Mexico, for sure, shit was not part of this whole debacle. I don't know. Anyway, they were worried about attacks from the Confederates.
That's fine.
So a fortress was constructed and armed with 100 cannons. By the late
canyons?
Guys, this is gonna get slap
They
happy.
took all the shovels. There was trenches everywhere. They called them canyons.
So 100 cannons.
Yep, that sounds better.
So by the late 1850s, it was used to house military prisoners. So it wasn't just a federal prison. It was also a military prison prior to becoming a federal prison.
Okay.
Yep. So these prisoners included Confederate sympathizers and people accused of treason during the Civil War. And of course, a bunch of, quote, rebellious, Hopi? I believe it's Hopi. I don't think it's Hopi. Native Americans. Because, racism.
Hopi?
Yeah, I think it's Hopi. But I feel like...
Is that a tribe?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's not an adjective. It's a tribe.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
The same way that you have like the mommy, which is where my family comes
an
from.
IPA. An IPA is really hoppy.
No.
No, okay.
No, it's a type, not a type. It is a tribe, a colony of Native Americans. A sect of Native Americans. You know, you feel like Aztecs, Incans,
It's tribe.
mommy,
Yeah, I got
Cherokee.
You.
Anyway.
I don't think Aztecs were Indians, but that's fine.
There's still a type of like a region
Indigenous
of people.
Yeah.
That the white people wiped out. So soon it transitioned into the Alcatraz that we all know and love. So it started to house unruly inmates, federal inmates, in 1934.
Welcome to the Rock.
I told you guys there was going to be way more references.
All right, we're
Sean
falling asleep.
Connery
We're
voice.
falling asleep to that movie tonight. I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to pull out the DVD copy I've had for 15, 20
Not
years.
Blu-ray.
No.
DVD.
I don't know if I have it on VHS, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know where our VCR is.
Oh,
because
that's in the garage.
we own one.
It's in the garage.
Guys, we own a VCR.
Yeah, we own 800 Disney movies. We'd have to have a VCR.
I managed to get them all in one box that fit under the stairs.
Yeah, never to be seen again.
No,
Anyway,
your PlayStation's blocking it.
it is. All right, proceed.
So anyway, here it is thought that...
Sorry, our dog just rolled over in the most, unenthusiastic way ever.
She's dramatic. So here it is thought that the most troublesome of convicts could be taught rules, structures, and routines so they could be reintroduced into regular prison system and then into regular life. The daily routines included spending time in their 5-foot by 9-foot cells, fashioned with a small sink with cold running water, a small sleeping cot, and a toilet. Prisoners were allowed a blanket, a pillow, and 2 pillow covers. That's not right. Pillowcases. And a radio to be played at a quiet level at the very back of their cell, and writing gear to write very limited letters home, I think it was only one a week, or they were allowed to send out. So these letters also were read before being sent out. There were 3 meals a day and time spent outside in workshops if you had earned the privilege. So no one was allowed to talk to one another outside of mealtime. To circumvent this, it is said that prisoners would empty their toilets and use the sewer pipes as a form of communication. Yep. You just got to hope you didn't get caught. Because if you got caught, you lost your privileges. No radio, no workshops,
No toilets.
I mean, you still got the toilet, but you didn't get outside time at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know who was the operator for the toilet, communication system.
I'm sure there were a lot of them. They figured it out.
No, this is Bill. All right, sorry. Larry? Nope, still. You can't reroute pipe.
The worst kind of operators.
Yeah.
So they did get warm showers, though, very hot.
The guy upstairs misses toilet. Sorry.
No, they got scalding hot, uncomfortably warm showers.
Oh, like how you take?
Yes, but probably worse. So this was because they didn't want prisoners to get acclimated to cold water, making it harder to survive the frigid bay on the off chance that you could make it to the bay if you managed to escape the prison.
Yeah.
Yep. I feel like I need to move this because I'm looking down. How are the levels?
You're fine.
Okay. Super self-conscious after last week. So you were allowed one visitor a month for an hour, but it had to be approved by the warden first, and it was definitely monitored and censored. It was also through like a small intercom system.
No conjugal visits.
Yep. Definitely not. And also, like, you couldn't talk about your life inside of the prison, what was going on. It had to be like very superficial. Mm-hmm. So once you were on good behavior, you were then rewarded with small jobs inside the prison and access to the workshops. Privileges could be taken away. If your infraction was big enough, like an attempted escape, you could be thrown into solitary confinement. So this was the D block. No jokes for the D block?
Nope.
Disappointed. So the rooms...
I was also heavily leaned back just listening to you.
Oh my gosh, this is the only riveting conversation we've had all week?
One-sided conversation, yeah.
Oh, divorce.
Speaking of D block.
So the rooms in D block were spacier, but you were all by yourself in a cold, floor-level cells with no view of the outside world, and 99.9% of the time you were completely alone. So there were 3 levels of cells: cell block A, which was rarely used; cell block D, which was the ground floor solitary confinement cells; cell blocks B and C, which were the upper levels that at least afforded a nice view of the San Francisco Bay. There was also an old leftover dungeon from Alcatraz's fortress days under cell block D that would allegedly house the most troublesome inmates for only a few short hours, handcuffed to the bars of the cells. So they say allegedly because, yeah, like no one ever really has like any
evidence.
Exactly. But there's a lot of like stories that guards heard that was like, oh, so-and-so got like strapped to a cell down there in like literal sub in the rock fortresses, like dungeon.
Can you go on tour still to Alcatraz?
Yes. I mean, I don't know about COVID, but yeah, like outside of COVID, yeah, you can still do tours.
Put that on the bucket list.
For sure. After we visit Boys Town. Because I just want to see people hit on you because you know you're a bear.
I'm eating a date, leave me alone.
So in the upper level cell blocks stood the gun gallery. Here is where they had an armed guard that would shell out the weapons and ammo for other guards. All guards inside the cell blocks were unarmed as a general rule. And guns were not allowed in the cell blocks. The armory was for the armed watchtowers. So the only access to the gun gallery was from the outside, and it was barred from the inside.
Okay.
So now let's go over the ringleaders of the entire operation and how we wound up getting to the Battle of Alcatraz. The first man who planned the escape...
Is the Battle of Alcatraz between inmates and guards then?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Inmates, guards, Navy, Marines, and the San Francisco police force.
All against the inmates.
All against the 6 inmates with 2 guns.
That seems excessive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like, I mean, they also had like billy clubs, so they had like these like weird billy clubs that could also like fire like grenades and like gas bombs and shit. But just bear in mind, they literally only had a rifle and a pistol.
This is a massive spoiler alert. You can just go ahead.
No, I mention it later.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, no, they brought all of these people and ringed the island. It was nuts. So the man who planned the escape was Bernard Coy. Coy, who was a native Kentuckier. He's from Kentucky.
Blue blood.
Yep.
They call the Kentuckies the Blue Bloods. They're one of the Blue Bloods.
Is that like a sports reference?
College basketball. Yep.
Yeah, figured. Anyway, this is long before then. He was a native Kentuckian born in 1900 and was sentenced to 25 years in prison in 1937 for robbing a Kentucky bank armed with a sawed-off shotgun.
So he got sent all the way to California?
So Alcatraz was set aside for the most disruptive of federal prisoners.
Be way more fun if it was employees.
It would be. So, like, if you were unruly, if you gave too much sass, if you were an escape artist and you tried to leave the jail that you were incarcerated in several times, they would be like, you know what? You're too much to handle, and they would send you to Alcatraz.
Cowboy Mike should have gone to.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So they named Alcatraz the prison's prison.
Okay.
Yeah. So his initial sentence was being served at a prison in Atlanta, but he was soon transferred to Alcatraz in 1938. And I couldn't find out why, although, like I said, it was probably just because he gave a guard like too much sass and was a little bit unruly. I'm sure he probably tried to escape, so they were like, yeet, go to Alcatraz, because it's allegedly unescapable because they're in that bay with all the cold water.
Unescapable.
Unescapable.
That was a weird double negative.
Yeah, I don't know what you want from me. I've been drinking. Anyway, in my giant pile of research with like those 40 pages, I'm sure it says so somewhere, but I got sick of looking because, you know, I'm a heavy hitting researcher over here.
This is our full-time job.
It totally is. I have nothing else going on. So eventually, due to good behavior, after he'd been transferred to Alcatraz, Coy was given a job as a cell house orderly. So this gave him the freedom and time to go unnoticed as he scoped out the weaknesses in the prison and memorized the guards' routines. Bernard Coy then enlisted his right-hand man, Joseph Dutch Kretzer.
So it's Joe and Coy? Mm-hmm. I'm just saying.
It is Joe and Coy. So anyway, Kretzer's criminal career...
Sorry, I couldn't hold it any longer.
So Kretzer's criminal career was a little more lucrative than Coy's. It's quite a doozy.
Wait, what was Joseph's last name?
Kretzer.
Okay, because
I'm going to refer to them mostly by last names.
Yep.
So Kretzer had a little more lucrative of a criminal career than Coy. It's a bit of a doozy, so buckle up. Kretzer started committing crimes.
That's my buckle sound.
Kretzer started committing crimes at a young age and had been in and out of prison since 1927. His wife, Edna May, so he married a woman, her name was Edna May Kyle. And this is how Kretzer met his business partner, Arnold Kyle. The pair became the head of the Kretzel-Kyle gang, and while Edna ran a brothel.
Very original name.
Yes. Edna also ran a brothel alongside them being a gang.
Yeah, just American dream.
Yep.
Yep.
It's a cute little crime family, right?
Yeah.
So I think Kretzer...
Pinstripe suits and Tommy guns everywhere.
Exactly. So Kretzer becomes public enemy number 4.
Is that good? He's like on the top 5, though. That's
yeah,
impressive.
of like people they need to capture.
I saw that Johnny Depp movie, Public Enemy.
That's a great movie.
I've only ever watched it once, and I just remember that having pinstripe suits and Tommy guns in it.
I mean, it was the 20s and 30s. That's what everybody wore back then.
We own that movie.
Of course we do.
After The Rock, when I'm asleep like 3 minutes into it, you should watch Public Enemy tonight.
I'll make sure to do that because I have nothing going on tomorrow.
No.
Nope. So the gang robbed banks along the West Coast, and the FBI finally caught up with the pair in Chicago in August of 1939. Kretzer was soon sentenced with a 25 years imprisonment to be served at McNeil's Island, starting in February of 1940, along with his brother-in-law, who was part of the gang, Arnold Kyle.
Yeah, the other half of the... Yeah.
Yep, so the pair soon planned a prison escape from McNeil Island involving a hijacked prison lorry, which is, I think, a boat, maybe? But both were soon recaptured in the woods after 3 days.
Boats don't go in the woods. So.
No, they got on a lorry because they were on an island, and then they were captured in the woods that were close to wherever.
Island?
McNeil?
McNeil?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I didn't do any research. Deep dive comes with a caveat. Don't ask me anything outside of this information.
For a shorter dive later, McNeil Island probably needs its own episode.
Why not?
It's probably got fun stories.
Put it on the bucket list.
The bucket? No. Nope.
On the podcast list.
Yarp.
Okay. So, they were then put on trial for the escape, and of course the pair tries to escape again. A fight commenced between the two.
Escape.
Yes. A fight commenced between the two while they were being held for their sentencing, and a U.S. Marshal named Chitty. Yep. In the scuffle, Kyle tried...
He just wants to shoot his gun twice.
Chitty, bang, bang.
Yep.
Oh, God.
So, fun fact about that. Okay. You know that there's a church up the road that has like one of those signs and they put like funny things on it or what they think is funny?
Yeah.
Have you seen the one that says like the only thing missing in church
is you are?
Yeah.
Oh God, that's the one off to the left. That's a small ass Baptist church.
Every time I read it, I go, the only thing missing in is you are. And I was like, oh, yeah.
Guys, it's a little bit too soon. We've got a lot of mass shootings around here.
Exactly. Now every time I read it, I go, the only thing missing in is you are. I was like, that sounds like a threat.
Yeah. Also, it wouldn't be much of a mass shooting because I'm pretty sure that building can only fit like 10 people.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
so
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yep.
U.S. Marshal.
Yep. So in this,
speaking of which, U.S. Marshals, Con Air, great Nicolas Cage movie. I'm just going to profess my love for Nicolas Cage tonight.
Everybody, watch out, guys. If he leaves me, it's for Nicolas Cage. So
if you haven't watched The History of Swear Words, great show on Netflix.
Fantastic. So in the scuffle, Kyle tried to reach.
Crudes. Sorry, I'm done interrupting you.
No, you're not.
No, I'm going to grab some snacks.
So, in the scuffle, Kyle tried to reach for Chitty's gun, but failed.
Shitty.
That was the joke I thought you would reach for, and then you came up with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and I was like, this is why I married him. Mm-hmm. So, a second officer came in to help break up the fight. As Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was being pulled away from the pair, Kyle got one last punch in Chitty's face. 10 minutes... Yeah, they were very aggressive. So
you got shit-faced? Sorry. You don't have to laugh at every bad joke.
Yes, I do.
I'm smashing these
I'm
weird
drunk.
black bean crisps.
So 10 minutes... This is long enough already. So 10 minutes later, while Chitty was talking with a clerk, he lost consciousness. Chitty was brought... Yeah, Chitty was brought to his...
How many times did you type Chitty in this paragraph?
A lot, and I deleted a bunch of it to try to shorten it up. Chitty was brought to his private chamber, where he was pronounced dead from a heart attack brought on by the fight.
In the Chitty chamber? Sorry.
Yes.
All right. Also, metal straws, not a good idea. I already know that this is showing up a lot more than I want it to in the audio.
I'm sorry, guys. We're learning on the fly here. Next time we'll get plastic danger straws. So now Kretzer was charged with murder. Kretzer and Kyle were slapped with an additional 5 years added to their prison sentences associated with their multiple escape attempts. And because no one learns a lesson, both Kretzer and Kyle were shipped off to Alcatraz together.
You almost said Azkaban, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, I could tell. I was waiting for that to happen this episode.
So far, it's only been a half miss. Hold on. Pause for a drink, because I need it. You might have to edit this bit out.
No, it's fine.
I'm going to take a big one.
We're into... Whoa. Giggity. And now she's trying to laugh and drink. I got these danger straws off of Amazon, by the way. They're like a solid half-inch wide.
Oh, yeah.
And you can drink... Allegedly, I was like, oh, we should get them because they'll help with our water intake. And the only thing we ever use them for is alcohol. Yeah. Because you can drink an entire drink down in like 3 sips.
You really can. Mm-hmm. So his sentence started in August. Kretzer's sentence.
Not Chitty's?
Not Chitty's.
He's dead.
Yeah, he is.
R.I.P. Chitty.
Kretzer's...
Was that a nickname or his last name was literally Chitty?
No, his last name was literally Chitty.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Coming from someone whose last name was Tingley, it's kind of a Chitty last name.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It gives me the tinglies, though.
So, Kretzer was sentenced. He started his sentence in August of 1940. Less than a year later, in May of 1941, he attempted another escape from the Rock.
Also known as Alcatraz. Yeah.
Yep. I'll give you one guess who was involved.
Sean Connery.
No, his partner Kyle.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Part of his co-founder of his gang.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. So this attempt, of course, involved Arnold Kyle and 2 other inmates, Lloyd Barkdahl and Sam Shockley. This earned Kretzer 5 years on the D block, which was
5 years in solitary.
Yes.
Holy crap.
Yep. So this is the prison's high security block. D block was for long-term solitary confinement, like very solitary confinement. They got 1 hour out of their cell by yourself once a week. The rest...
Holy cow.
The rest was dark solitary confinement.
Oof.
Yes. It doesn't fuck up people at all.
No, it just drowned me in the bay at that point when I tried to escape.
Yep.
Yeah.
So a third ringleader, because every good gang is a trio, was Marvin Hubbard. Hubbard started serving his sentence for, and because of his backstory, I'm going to make a controversial statement, allegedly kidnapping a Chattanooga, Tennessee police officer and transporting him across state lines, as well as
kidnapping a police officer. Mm-hmm. It's a bold move, Cotton.
Okay, hold on, because I got a lot to go into this guy. So he was also accused of stealing a Tommy gun, 2 revolvers, and a car in August of 1942. He was forced by the FBI, state, and county police to confess and plead guilty. He was told that if he didn't confess, he, quote, wouldn't leave the jail alive.
Oh, that's not a forced confession.
Nope, Hubbard refused and then claims he was beaten into unconsciousness. According to an article in the San Francisco Chronicle, statements made by doctors at the Chattanooga hospital, Hubbard had been treated for a broken nose, cuts, bruises, and a possible fractured skull.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, like, you're like, oh, yeah, sucks. You kidnapped a police officer, but also possibly a forced confession. So, I'm not saying, I'm just saying. By September of 1942, he decided to attempt an escape from the Knoxville prison that he was incarcerated in. He managed and was then sent to Atlanta. But, like, do you blame him for trying to escape?
No.
So after participating in a mutiny in the Atlanta jail he was sent to, this is his second jail. Yep. He was sent to Alcatraz in November of 1944. The day after the Battle of Alcatraz, Hubbard had a trial that was like originally scheduled, had a trial for his writ of habeas corpus, which I used to know what that is, but it's something like, it's kind of like an appeal. And according to a different article from the San Francisco Chronicle, a lawyer said that he had a good chance of winning. The prosecuting lawyer said that he had a good chance of winning. So he just like was impatient. Like he would have been fine.
Yeah.
And then he fucked it all up.
I mean, he's a criminal, so...
Allegedly.
Yeah.
So after the battle started, 3 more inmates joined in on the fun. Sam Shockley. Recognize that name from earlier?
Yes.
Okay. And Marin Thompson and Clarence Carnes. Clarence Carnes began his criminal career at 16. He was taken into custody under...
A prodigy.
Yep. Under a suspected murder, promptly punched the prison guard, beat up the janitor, and escaped.
Poor janitor. He's trying to get his mop on.
Well, he was probably trying to stop him. And he was like, nah, bitch, get out of my way.
He hits him with a wet mop just right across the face.
So bad. So Carnes was captured that same day that he tried to escape. He was charged with murder, kidnapping, holdup, and escape, and given 99 years as a prison sentence.
A bitch ain't one. Sorry.
He was sent to Granite Reformatory, where he escaped in February of 1943 while he was working outside in a quarry.
And where?
Granite Reformatory?
That place rocks. Sorry.
Carnes kidnapped a farmer to hold hostage and forced him to drive him to Shamrock, Texas.
In a tractor. 30 miles an hour. Sorry. All right,
I'll stop. I was trying to make it. Oh, she thinks my tractor's sexy. That
you sound just like a country singer.
Thank you.
You should really rethink your career.
I really should. Just pandering and pandering and pandering.
Pandering and Mandarin.
So, again, throwback to Bo Burnham. Go watch him. He's great. So, Carnes was captured and charged with the escape and sent to Leavenworth Prison. And he was then transferred to Alcatraz.
In Texas.
It is. There's a lot of people transferred from Leavenworth to Alcatraz.
Where does the longest yard happen?
Bro, I don't know, but it could possibly
be. It could be. How about that football team? Anyway.
So, he was transferred to Alcatraz in July at age 19, making him the youngest ever inmate to live on Alcatraz. So
there's dead people that are younger.
Definitely. So Marion Thompson was which is another... Marin. Probably Marin. Definitely not Marion.
No.
Marin Thompson was a common burglar.
Burglar? The Hamburglar? That's where he ended up.
Damn it.
That's how Cheeseburger Eddie came about. Sorry. Terrible joke.
So he was a common burglar and had been arrested several times.
You gotta protect the McNuggets.
No, it's worse than the nuclear. I'm so worried about how I mispronounce words that like it makes me I'm sweaty.
We should record you saying nothing but words
that
like
I
twice a week.
failed
Yeah.
to pronounce.
That's why I don't talk much, you guys. I just buzz in with a couple zingers and then I back out.
So, Marin Thompson had been arrested several times. He was good at getting caught and even better at escaping. At this point, Thompson had successfully escaped 8 different prisons.
I could go for a purse burger right now. Hashtag Wine and Crime Live.
So, for his last crime, Thompson was sent directly to Alcatraz to serve out his sentence, which is a rare case. Usually people are transferred. Thompson was arrested for armed robbery by Detective Lemuel Savage.
Savage?
Yeah.
Lieutenant Savage.
All right, I'm just saying, don't make fun of him. This one dies too. Chill.
Why does the detective die?
Because Thompson's an asshole.
Okay.
So Savage searched Thompson and his partner for any guns on their persons, but missed a handgun hidden in Thompson's pants. Thompson shot and killed... Is that a gun in your pants?
Yeah. Sorry. He's like, whoa, okay.
Yes.
Not a gun. Proceed. Psych,
As
it
soon
was
as
a
you
gun.
started giggling, I'm like, I know the joke. So Thompson shot and killed Savage as he was transporting the pair of robbers to jail. Thompson's then fled, kidnapping 3 other people before he was finally caught. Thompson was then convicted of federal kidnapping and sent directly to Alcatraz. So here's the saddest case. Sam Shockley. He was the last ringleader, and in my opinion, the saddest case. I mean, like, he had a real rough childhood and a real tough life, and obviously it doesn't excuse him for being a murderer, but like, also, he was definitely a product of a broken system. So we're gonna get real heavy before we get into the even heavier shit. Ready?
Great.
Yep. So Shockley was a child of a sharecropper and one of 8 children. When he was a newborn, he was involved in a fire with his older sister, Myrtle. Myrtle was holding Sam, got too close to the fireplace, and her dress caught fire, and she proceeded to run out of the front door of the home, tossing newborn baby Sam to the ground. The 2 laid outside unattended to for 6 hours.
What?
Yeah. Burned, lying in the front yard, just like writhing in pain. With a head injury thrown in.
Yeah.
Yep. So it just goes just straight downhill from there.
Oh, that was the peak?
Yeah.
Good.
Sam's mother died when he was 7, so he started running away from home. At 12, he was taken out of any formal education to help with the sharecropping, leaving him with a 3rd grade education. By 13, Sam started exhibiting signs of some mental instability. By 1927, he officially left home for good, becoming a transient. Soon, he was arrested for stealing chicken, car tires, and accessories in Oklahoma, and was sentenced to jail for the first time in 1928. While in prison, Shockley was beaten by a fellow inmate and suffered from brain damage. Again.
Oh, good.
He was released and then re-imprisoned several times throughout the 30s for drunkenness. He managed to escape a jail in Birmingham, and in return he was beaten, this time from a police officer, and received even more brain damage. Again.
Seems like a compounding issue here.
Mm-hmm, yeah, 3rd time's the charm, right?
Yeah.
So he
it's
was
like a triple negative. He's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, negative then positive, then negative is all right.
Yeah, he's fine.
So he was finally arrested and charged with life in prison for robbing a man of his car, and then proceeded to rob a bank and kidnap the president of the bank, and his wife, all with a partner in crime. So at this point, Shockley was finally evaluated by a psychiatrist and found to have an IQ of 68 and the mental age of 10 years and 10 months.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I told you. Real sad.
Yeah.
So at this point, he was suffering bouts of hallucination and serious emotional instability. Shockley was determined to be a danger to himself and others. He was sent to Alcatraz in 1938, where it was believed that Alcatraz's strict routines would be good for managing him. While on Alcatraz, he was placed in the D block.
That's not good.
Nope. in solitary for 3 years. Shockley spent most of his time in darkness on cold concrete floors where his schizophrenia started to blossom. Here, he was experiencing full auditory hallucinations, delusions, and disorientation. His IQ dropped to 54, and which brought his mental age down to 8 years old. So if you, like I said, like he was mentioned in another attempted escape earlier.
Yeah.
With Kretzer, who was also involved with he was like part of the brains of the operation.
Uh-huh.
The last 3 that I mentioned were people that just kind of tagged along once they let out other prisoners. So, the fellow escapee attemptee named Lloyd Barkdahl managed to convince the warden that Shockley wasn't involved in that first escape, and Shockley and so Shockley was sent back to his own cell and not back to the D block.
Okay.
All right. So now that we have a thorough understanding of the history and the mindset of the characters of the story, and I really brought you down to a sad, dark place, let's go over the Battle of Alcatraz, shall we?
Okay.
So there have been 14 escape attempts, none of them considered successful. These attempts involved 36 inmates, 23 of which were captured alive, 6 were shot and killed during their attempts, and 2 drowned, and 5 went missing and have been presumed dead.
Or escaped.
No, they don't think they made it out of the bay. There's a lot of strong currents.
Except for Sean Connery.
Is that really part of the storyline?
Yeah, he escaped. Why do you think they recruited him at age 60, whatever?
I don't know, because he's a badass. Because it's Sean Connery.
How little you know about this movie is actually embarrassing.
I know. We've seen it at least twice. I've seen it at least twice.
I was going to say, we've seen it at least twice? Come on now.
So, anyway, the most famous of those escape attempts unfolded from May 2nd to May 4th, 1946.
May 2nd's my sister's birthday.
Are you sure it wasn't the 3rd?
Yes.
Okay. So, this was known as the Battle of Alcatraz. He's eating chips. Don't mind him. In the afternoon of May 2nd...
I'm pretty sure they can't hear me.
They might. I mean, I've leaned back and had a demonic burp, and they still managed to get picked up.
You conjured something in that burp, yes.
I did. Our house, it's fucked.
A dark entity has been here ever since.
Yep. So, in the afternoon of May 2nd, Bernard Coy set his plan into motion. At 2 p.m., while most of the guards and prisoners were outside during their workshops, Coy was inside sweeping cell block C. Guard Miller was attending the gun gallery. Hubbard, working as a kitchen orderly, called Officer Miller over to unlock the kitchen doors to let him into the cell block. This was enough of a distraction for Coy to attack Miller from behind while he was frisking Hubbard. So they got to check to make sure you don't get any knives and shit,
Attack him from behind while he's frisking somebody else.
Yep.
That sounds like prison.
Yep. So Coy took Officer Miller's weapons, which was a Springfield rifle.
Did he grab the weapon? But never mind. Sorry.
Anyway, his weapons were one Springfield rifle and an M1911, 1911. Doesn't matter.
1911. That's the pistol you start with in Warzone.
Oh.
1911. Yeah.
All right. So that's how it's said. Okay.
They don't say
whatever pistol you use in Warzone, he had on him.
Naturally.
And he also snatched his keys.
Snatcher.
Yep. Coys and Hubbard then proceeded to unlock the cells in the C block. And then Coy climbed up to the gun gallery by using a homemade bar spreader that he'd made from toilet parts. So he used this to separate the bars to make his way up to the cell block that housed the gallery. He then spread the bars that enclosed the gallery to a 10-inch gap and slipped inside. Coy had been starving himself for the previous months to lose the mass that he needed to fit between the bars.
It's dedication to the crime.
It really is.
Gotta appreciate that.
Yep. So once...
I mean, his head wasn't going to get any smaller, so...
Yeah, but he had to lose, the belly, You know how it is, right?
Wow.
I love you, Chesmond.
I'm going to jump out a window real quick, guys. When you hear that splat, just hit pause and never listen again.
We are a good solid, 25 feet up.
Maybe.
We got a tall house.
We do have a tall house.
Yeah. So once there in the gun gallery, he waited for the arrival of the second guard named Officer Birch. Here, Coy gathered billy clubs, which are those like clubs that they use to shoot off gas grenades. And he also collected gas grenades and threw them down to his fellow inmates that were escaping with him.
Mm-hmm.
At
dramatic pause.
how did Google Docs not pick up on that spelling error? So at this point, Carnes and Kretzer had joined Coy. They had made their way down to the D block, forcing Officer Cecil Corwin to open the doors to the main cell house and let the others in. Once inside, everybody was inside C block. Coy had released another dozen inmates. Most had made their way back to their cells, but Shockley and Thompson decided to join them in their escape attempt. So the two guards, Miller and Corwin, were shoved into a cell in C block, which is the main blockhouse. Mm-hmm. Soon after noticing that the two guards hadn't reported during their shift change, other officers came in to investigate. Under Joe Coyce, Coy and the others had to do something about the barrage of guards coming in. So eventually they wound up with 9 guards shoved into 2 cells.
Good for them.
Yeah. And so the second half of Coy's plans hinged on the key required to open the yard door, which would lead them to the docks, to the prison's boat, and off to freedom. But alas, there was no key to the yard door on the keys that they had stolen off of Officer Miller. Miller managed to keep that one key on him and hid it in the toilet in the cell that they were shoved into. The key was eventually found by the inmates after searching the guards and the cell, but at that point, the lock to the yard door had fully jammed, as it was designed to do after several failed attempts with other keys on the key ring that just didn't work.
Yeah, like a failsafe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yay for Miller. He dies. I know. So the inmates realized that their plan was now completely failed. Like there was no way they were going to get out. So Thompson
we suck at game.
So Thompson and Shockley then urged Kretzer, who had one of the guns, to kill the hostages so that there were no witnesses.
Okay.
All 9 guards.
That seems like okay.
You know, whatever. It's Alcatraz. They're a little extreme. So
I mean, if you see daylight for an hour a week, you get a little nutty.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
But this was also up to like a slight debate because an inmate who was not participating in the failed escape plan testified at the trial later that he never actually heard Shockley suggest that they shoot up anybody. He said that Shockley was mostly just running around, shouting at the guards, calling names, and acting like he had no actual clue what was going on.
Acting like an 8-year-old, because that's what he was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So Kretzer...
Hey, stupid face.
Yeah.
How's it feeling there?
Pretty much. Like, that's all he was doing, is yelling at inmates, yelling at guards. He's running on like a... Yeah. Like, not, I don't want to say a crazy person, but yeah, like a child. Mm-hmm. So Kretzer wound up opening fire into the cells. So one guard was shot and killed, which was Miller. Yep, he died later on. Like, so they got him off the island during a rescue, and then he died. So multiple were injured, and a few had a level head enough to hit the ground and stay there, unmoving, pretending like they were dead. One guard was Officer Sundstrom. So he wrote on a scrap piece of paper, he wrote down the names of the injured guards and the names of the inmates taking place in the failed escape, circling the ringleaders' names. Luckily, none of the inmates took the time to check to see how many guards were killed or injured after that, like, fire squad style attack. So they just left them there and was just assuming everybody was dead. Sundstrom was quoted saying that he laid on that floor cell trying not to move for 10 hours. Yeah. Before someone rescued them.
That's a long time.
Yes. So at 3:17 p.m., Warden J.A. Johnston sent word that there was, quote, serious trouble. And 3 minutes later, Warden Johnston makes an emergency call to the Marines stationed at Treasure Island, which In hindsight, I have no clue where that is. I'm assuming close by.
It's at Walt Disney World.
Yep. He also made calls to the San Francisco Police, the Navies, and the Coast Guard.
The Navies?
The Navies. Guys,
both of them.
All that alcohol, it's catching up. So by
the Navies were on their waysies.
So by 4 p.m., the gunfire on the island intensifies. It could be heard by people driving across the Golden Gate Bridge and all the way into the city of San Francisco. By 4:30, the Navy and the Coast Guard had formed a ring of vessels around the island to try to hold off any successful escape attempts. At 5 p.m., reinforcements finally landed on Alcatraz in the form of federal agents.
Did they come through the sewer systems and up to the showers?
Nah, they just got dropped off. Sorry, It's kind of anticlimactic.
Not as fun as The Rock?
No, not nearly. So soon, tear gas bombs were being thrown in, and guards were firing back into the southern windows of the cell blocks. At 6 p.m., the Marines finally landed. So they were battle ready and equipped with a variety of weapons. The Marines took over from there with 2 platoons that were set to guard the general population and to try to take the prison back from the outside. Bear in mind, these men, remember, have 2 guns.
That's too many.
Apparently, because, this was excessive. So anyway, by 6:15, the shooting intensifies again. Now thousands...
How many bullets do they have for these 2 guns?
Literally, less than 150.
Okay, that's still quite a few. I thought, if both guns are loaded, I'm like, they got,
No, because they did have
shots.
some... Oh, no. My reading pen.
It fell?
I dropped it.
Here, I got another one.
I got it.
You got a backup, homie.
We should probably have a backup. So, yeah, there wasn't really many. There was, because they did have the armory, but there was 79 bullets for one gun and 20
That's still
something
more
for
than
the
I
other.
expected.
Yeah. Still 2 guns between 6 people. They also had gas grenades and shit. They had other stuff.
In William clubs?
And regular, yes, those were, yes.
It's a
and he also
proper
had
billy
regular
club.
grenades. Proper billy club. Anyway, oh shit. By 6:15, the shooting intensifies again, and at this point, there were thousands of spectators lining the shore to watch the battle wage on the island.
Who doesn't love a good show? Especially in the 40s?
Yeah, what the fuck else did you have to do?
They're all
you
in
can't
suits.
drink.
They're all in suits.
It's the worst. Can't dance. Nothing. So finally, at 7:15 p.m., the world was formally informed of the Battle of Alcatraz. So, no one had a clue what was going on, and the warden finally was like, hey, guys, we got a situation.
The 7 o'clock news.
Yep. So, at nightfall, 2 squads of officers entered the prison in an attempt to rescue the captive prison guards. The officers entered the cell block unarmed, per the long-standing prison rule that no guns were allowed in the cell block. There were other officers posted in the gun gallery to provide fire, cover fire. But the group of inmates had wiggled their way between the cells. So, they were, stacked 3 high, back to back, with a 2.5 foot wide gap that sewer and water lines ran through. They had wiggled their way up that, 2.5 foot gap between the 2 tiered cells.
Okay.
And they had posted themselves on the top of the cell blocks. So they had a high vantage point. And there was no good way to get to them because they were pigeoned between this really difficult area to get through.
Yeah, where there's pipes and all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
And there were cross beams coming between it, and there was 30-inch gaps between a lot of the beams, and you could fall through, and it was just a disaster. They kind of knew what they were doing. If he had gotten the right key, they would have been gone.
Yeah.
So anyway, blah, 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 blah. They were hidden from the firing officers, which gave them a high vantage point. After a successful rescue attempt with only 1 officer getting shot, the squads and the hostages made their way to the off of the cell block, making sure to lock the door to the D block behind them. So this confined the inmates to the main cell blocks. The wounded were then shipped to shore, and there was a lull in the fighting while the inmates recouped and came up with a new battle plan. So at 4 a.m., everyone was at it all over again. So they came up with a new battle plan. At 5 a.m., the fighting started to really pick up again. By 5:30, Warden Johnson gave an order to shell out the convicts' hideout. At 8 a.m., the inmates decided to launch a vigorous attack with hand grenades. Holes were then cut into the roof of the prison where hand grenades were dropped into the cell block. And so the main goal of doing this was to force the fighting inmates into the utility corridor where they could be cornered.
Yeah, kind of flush them out.
Yep. So by 10 a.m. on May 3rd, another round of Marines were brought onto the island because apparently 2 platoons was not enough. Mm-hmm. Again,
For
at
6
this
people.
point, no, less than that. At this point, there were 3 people fighting because the other 3 were like, fuck this. We're just going to go back to our cells and chill.
And wait for this to all be over.
Yes. So grenades were lobbed into the prison every 30 minutes in an attempt to flush them out. Bazooka shells, TNT, and 2 demolition experts were brought into the island. But Warden Johnston put a stop to anything that was more powerful than hand grenades because he was concerned that any type of assault would, drastic, would ruin the prison's structural integrity. Yep. So that ruined structural integrity would give them a chance to escape during the night. So he was like, you know what? How about we don't just chill just a little bit?
They'll get hungry eventually.
Exactly. 2 days. Seriously. There were inmates while they were doing an interview with the San Francisco Chronicle. There were inmates shouting down to the warden, being like, you should tell them about how you starved us for 2 days. So even the other inmates, people that had nothing to do with this, that were cornered and guarded by the Marines, never got food.
Fed.
Yeah. So at 1:40 p.m., all firing stopped suddenly. Guards were trying to negotiate an unconditional surrender from the trapped inmates. It failed because shortly before 7 p.m., the fighting broke out yet again. Inmates were firing out of windows, the guards were firing back, and finally at midnight, all was still. Mm-hmm. So the grenade tactics were successful. They managed to push the inmates to the utility corridor. The plan was then to station guards, the next day, was then to station guards at each end where the steel doors closed the corridors. One guard would tear open the door, another would fire, and then that other guard would slam the door shut so that they wouldn't get any retaliating.
Return fire?
Yeah. So all the while, every half hour, they were still dropping frag grenades into the corridors. Mm-hmm. So this plan was put into effect at 7:30 a.m. on May 4th. At 8 a.m.
May the 4th be with you.
You guys are going to think about that way differently now. So at 8 a.m., 6 Marines stalked along the catwalk outside of the prison, and they set up a ladder and sent a prison guard up with a rifle to fire into this rogue window. Mm-hmm. They methodically checked inside of each window, but didn't have to fire another shot. At 9:20, there was another rapid burst of fire, about a dozen or so shots, and then all went quiet. At 9:45, the officers had made the decision to crawl into the darkened corridor and shimmy their way over the open pipes across beams with those 30-inch drops between each level.
Yeah.
Yep. They
were over it at that point.
Yeah. And they also hadn't heard any shooting in hours.
Okay.
So they pulled their tactic must have finally worked because they pulled Coy's body out of the corridor first. Rigor mortis had set in. He was found in a position he was still holding his rifle, and then that rifle was sitting next to him when they found him. A few feet away, Kretzer's body was found with a pistol beside him and the keys to the kingdom still in his pocket. The officials believed they had died in the night. They were unsure if it was from shrapnel or shots fired from the guards or Marines, or if it just wound up being good old-fashioned suicide. Mm-hmm. Hubbard was found a little farther away from the other 2. His body was still soft, so it was believed that he died sometime that morning, not long before the guards came in.
Nice.
Yep. So the other 3 that had the other 3 attempted escapees had made their way back to their cells, but their names were already written down on that little scrap of piece of paper from Officer Sundstrom forever ago. Yep. So Sam Shockley and Marin Thompson was executed side by side in the gas chambers in San Quentin on December 3rd, 1948.
Gas chambers?
Gas chamber. in the 40s.
Okay.
I mean, let's be honest, totally normal.
Unfortunately normal.
Yes.
I think that's what you meant to say.
Yep. So Clarence Carnes, who is the sixth person, was spared the death penalty simply because when given the orders to shoot the guards, Carnes refused and walked away. He was given a life sentence and was paroled in 1973. He broke his parole, though, and was sent back to prison where he died in 1988.
The year I was born.
Yep. So, ultimately, 2 guards were killed in the Battle of Alcatraz. Officer Miller, later from his injuries from being shot in the cells, and Officer Stites, who was the one lone casualty from when they did the hostage rescue.
Uh-huh.
There were 14 guards that were injured. There's also 1 uninvolved inmate who was injured in the fray, and the additional 3 Coy, Kretzer, and Hubbard that had died.
Yep.
Alcatraz was closed in 1963 due to the high cost of supplying the prison with food and other stuff. And you can still see the holes and pockmarks on the exterior walls today.
From the frag grenades? Mm-hmm. Nice.
And the battle and the shooting and everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The chaos that ensued.
Yes.
Nice.
It was a long one, but
yeah.
was it fun?
Mm-hmm.
You got to really like stretch your Sean Connery voice there.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Womack. Sorry.
So how do you feel?
Good.
Yeah.
Good. It was lengthy.
It was.
There's a lot of information.
A ton of information.
It reminded me a lot of the, what was the prison? It's been on like ghost shows and stuff too, where they like fired the rocket launcher at the one tower.
Oh, shit.
And there was like multiple people in that one too. It's similar to that.
Right, and that tower had the warden in it.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't remember.
I can't remember either.
But anyway, that reminded me of that, one. Like the prison, like where they hold up in the prison and they never actually escape.
Yeah.
And then the prison people go like crazy and like overkill to like, yeah.
Yep.
Keep them
There's another battle that I would like to cover that also took place on Alcatraz. It's just much more of a controversial topic because it involves the Native Americans.
Gotcha.
So I don't want to touch on that subject quite yet.
And you promise next Tuesday's episode is going to be light and fun.
Mm-hmm. Short, guys.
I'll believe that when it happens.
It won't.
I had a Dorito in my throat. I'm okay. I'm okay.
You gonna survive?
I'll play injured.
Just
I'm a true
off.
professional. True professional. So your homework, if you haven't seen The Rock, is to find it. It might be. I don't know if it's on Netflix or anything.
Doubtful.
Wasn't it? No. There was one of the movies on Disney Plus. I don't think it was The Rock, though.
Also doubtful.
I don't know who makes it.
Either way, find it, watch it. It is actually a good movie.
Oh, actually, like he has terrible taste in movies.
No,
but that
he has
one's not
great
terrible.
taste in movie.
But anyway, if you made it this far, congratulations. This is quite far.
Also, last episode, if there is anybody who gives a shit, Sing Sing was in the producers, and I'm glad I finally figured it out.
You figured it out like 2 minutes after we hit stop recording last time. And then you're like, can we add it? And I was like, no, you weirdo.
No. And then I got called out, and I was like, guys, I know it's the producers.
Who called you out?
Jamie. My Jamie.
Oh, I was going to say, Jamie tweeted at us
Jamie.
Sing Sing, but I didn't think he was singing.
No, Jamie straight up like 7 o'clock in the morning was like, it's Sing Sing from the producers. I'm like, I fucking know, okay?
Leave me alone.
I figured it out.
Anyway, thanks for listening.
Congratulations.
Yes. If you
Sources real quick.
Sources.
Yep. Wikipedia.com, History.com, a myriad of articles written by Stanton Delaplane for the San Francisco Chronicle.
It's Delapany.
Shut up. No one likes you. Those articles were written back in like 1946, active while it was happening.
In cursive?
Yep. So it was also... No, it was print press because eyes was occasionally replaced with one.
That was a joke.
Yeah. Anyway, also from the www.bop.gov, which is the Bureau of Prisons, AlcatrazHistory.com, and HistoryByZim.com.
Bop it, twist it, pull it. Sorry.
I had so many pages, like 40 pages. Of
yeah, she killed an entire tree for this episode.
Pretty much.
If you donate to Patreon, we'll plant a tree in your honor to replace the one she's murdering.
Yeah, we'll probably plant a couple trees this year.
I literally have a dual monitor set up, and she will not use it. She has to print it off and highlight it because she's a crazy person.
I am.
Anyway, we keep reusing the pages. If you want us to send you a pamphlet full of pages, we can make that happen.
Anyway, guys, hope you have a nice night.
Yeah, have a good weekend. Thanks for listening. If you are listening on iTunes, throw us 5 stars. Leave
And
a
a
review.
review.
You'll be our favorite person.
Which we also got our first review, so thank you very much.
Yeah, we noticed our first review. I don't know when we actually got it.
Yeah,
we don't have an Apple product, so it is a labor of love to check our iTunes reviews.
It really is.
But our 1 5-star, 2 5-stars, whatever it is, we appreciate you.
Yes.
All right, thanks for listening, guys. Are you going to say thanks or are you done?
Oh, yeah, no, thanks, guys.
No. You can just sit over there quietly. That's fine. You've talked a lot.
Fuck you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to our terrible podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TMSTPod.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at Tell Me Something Terrible.
Oof, that was terrible.